Everybody, welcome to today's broadcast. Everyone, we are so excited. We are so excited to be here today. It's quite late here where I am in Norway, which is 7 p.m. right now, but I'm just so damn excited to be here with you guys today. And welcome, everybody. This is me, Monica Talk Cyber. I'm together with Mike Miller, Mike Miller Cyber on YouTube. So glad to have all you guys here. So, how are we going to do this today? Today, we're going to be talking about how can you break into cybersecurity with zero experience and zero certs. This is what we'll be sharing with you today with our real stories, real tips in today's live session. It's not going to be some theoretical things. I will share with you real stories, and Mike will do the same. And what are these top skills can really put you on the map? So, welcome everybody. Hi everyone, and I want to also say hi to everybody who has joined now. And Mike, do you want to say hi to everybody as well?
Yeah, I've been really pumped to do this broadcast. I've been really looking forward to having you on, Monica. So first, thank you for, devoting your time to do this. I know you have a very busy schedule, and it is getting late there. I've really been looking forward to this. So here's what I'll say to everybody watching, right? She has some fantastic information. We've had some great conversations. So grab your pens, take some notes. Our goal is that you guys all get a great take home that you can go back and apply to your situation. So I'll hand it back.
Thank you. So, just want to say quick things. We will be talking about some of the key things today, some of the key skills today, some of the tips that we're going to be giving you. In the meantime, when we're talking and we're having these conversations, please put in your questions, please put in your comments. We want to hear from you. We want to make it as lively as possible. It's not going to be like, yeah, we're going to be talking monotonously for 1 hour and then we will take your questions. No, we will take it as we go. And Mike is going to be doing great job as moderating the comments. So please put your comments, put your questions. We want to make it conversational with you guys, all of you. And before we hop in, maybe for those who don't know me and maybe for those who don't know Mike, maybe let's just do some quick introduction. Mike, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, Mike Miller, I've been in IT/cybersecurity for about 25 years. I got into IT in the dial up internet days. That's when I got into it. I worked as just an IT technician, help desk support, got into defensive security, offensive security. I ran as a QSA for a while doing PCI work, and I'm currently serving with a really cool company out of Pennsylvania, Appalachia Technologies, serving as a vCISO. So here I am.
Wonderful. There were some people here who were saying can't hear. I'm guessing it's just that probably one person and everybody else can hear us. I really hope. So if you guys can
Yes, please
hear
let us
us,
know. Yeah.
can you just like say thumbs up or yes or something just so that we are not the only ones talking to each other? And
Awesome.
everybody can hear us. That would be really fantastic. Yes, the event will be, I think it automatically records it. So it
It
should be on
does.
our
Yep.
YouTube channels. It
Yes,
should
they'll
be
be able to go
there
back to
on,
YouTube and on LinkedIn and watch.
yeah.
So
So it will be on Monica Talk Cyber. It will be on Mike Miller Cyber and it will be on Mike's LinkedIn as well.
perfect.
Okay. So you people can hear us. Oh, lovely. Fantastic. Good to know. Okay. I can say a few words about myself as well. I'm Monica. I'm German. I'm based in Norway. I was born in India, so I've traveled quite a lot. I've lived in different countries. I speak 4.5 languages. The reason I say 4.5 is because, and these are not programming languages. Okay, programming languages are on top. This is like real languages. I say 4.5 because one of the languages I can only speak and understand, but I can't really read and write because of the script. So yeah, so it's kind of like 4.5. But yeah, I have lived in different countries and I love building communities. That's what I really do. I know so many different cultures and so many different people from different backgrounds. And that's why I love doing this because our community is really diverse. And I want to be even more diverse and I want to be even more inclusive. So this is what I love. My journey started well more than 16, 17 years ago. I come from a technology background. I've been doing some studying and some my first break was really into hacking and I will come to that. Don't want to give you all the surprises away, but I've been in this industry now almost 20 years or close to 20 years, and I've been in the weeds and I've done things. So when I say and when we talk today that you don't need experience and you don't need search, It is coming from people who have been in the weeds. It is coming from people who know what it is like to be a tech expert for that matter. So we are not bullshitting you, if you're allowed to say that. Pardon the language. But yeah, we will get right into that. And today I have my own company, Cyber 4A and Monica Talk Cyber. I am also Group CISO of Orange Business Services in DSE or Cloud Division. I am based in Norway. I've been a part, and I was board. I'm also board member of Cloud Security Alliance. So I've done a lot of things, and you guys can find all the stuff on the LinkedIn. So I think I'm not gonna go bore you with that. So what we're gonna do is the time is ticking. It's 6 past. So let's hop right into it, Mike. Do you think it's a good idea? Let's do
Let's
that.
do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So the first tip, because we're gonna give you today real tips of what you can do and how can you break. So here it comes. Number one tip: networking. Just write it down. People have said it to you, and you might think like, yeah, that's a very vague term to say, but I will explain it to you. What does it really mean? And I will share a story with you. So before I do that, let me start by just saying one thing. Every expert today, even in the cybersecurity industry, was once a beginner. Every expert today, or whatever you call or claim themselves as experts, once knew nothing about it. I once knew nothing about coding. I once knew nothing about hacking. Every cybersecurity expert today started with zero experience. And the thing is that information security or even cybersecurity is not a unicorn industry. It doesn't need unicorn talent. What it really needs is curious, motivated, and driven people like you who want to learn, grow, and find meaningful work in this industry. So here it is. You don't need technical experience. You don't need certifications, but you do need absolutely one top skill, which is networking. And let me give you now the real example. After I finished my master's degree, so I have my bachelor's and I have my master's. They're not in cybersecurity courses. At that time, there were no cybersecurity courses. I did study cryptography. I did studies, random Oracle models. I did a lot of theory. But at that time, obviously, after I had finished my master thesis, for which I got an award, but it was still around more theory than anything else. It was more about my curiosity and trying to learn and understand and bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. Because what I really wanted was to break into the industry. At the time, I had zero experience in cybersecurity. I had no real hands on experience in the industry. And to my disappointment or to my struggle, let's say that, it was not disappointment, it was more like a struggle because that was the matter of fact. At that time, not many companies were really looking to hire ethical hackers. There were very few pen testing or hacking job opportunities out there or job open positions out there like they are today. There weren't so many. So in the meantime, I got another offer. I took that job, fine. But all I wanted to do was work as an ethical hacker. And I had been sending in CVs for months. I'd been trying to find positions, even remotely connected to maybe something that would allow me to do some kind of ethical hacking and get some real hands on experience. Bummer. So while I did have some kind of technical understanding, it didn't really help. And I had been looking for months. And to my tough luck, I didn't hear from anybody. But I was not going to stop at nothing. Because one thing that people know about me is that I'm a curious person, but I also don't stop at nothing. And I'm a persistent person and I'm consistent. And then something clicked in my mind. And I realized that doing the same thing over and over again and sending the same CV and having the same approach and expecting a different result is the very definition of craziness. So I decided to change my strategy. And this is real, what I'm telling you now. I decided to change my strategy, and this is my new strategy. At that time, I was living in Munich. So what I did, I was like, okay, maybe there are some cybersecurity communities or security communities or organizations and nonprofit stuff or meetups or whatever. Can I maybe start going there? Can we start finding those things? And I found OWASP in Munich, and I started showing up at the OWASP chapter meetings. And I did that for days, I did it for weeks, and I did it for months. I went there, I talked to people, I asked questions, And the most important thing was that over time, over just a matter of few weeks, I started sharing my ideas. I started sharing my thoughts. And the best part of that was I didn't need to be 100% correct. I didn't need any hands on experience. I didn't really need industry experience. I just needed to be able to share my ideas and my thoughts and how I saw things, how I understood the psychology of hacking. And none of this required technical experience. And then a miracle happened. And thanks to this person, I know him for like 20 years now, and he used to come at one of these chapters, and he then introduced me to my then to be become soon boss at Siemens. I sent my CV. There was no job position out there, but I sent my CV and I got asked for interview, and I did all the interview rounds, and I got a job offer and I got hired as an ethical hacker. So the moral of the story is it wasn't my coding skills that got me the job. It wasn't my certifications that got me the job. It wasn't my any technical hands-on experience, which I didn't even have. It was my curiosity and more importantly, my networking skills. That job position wasn't even out there. And that's how I broke into cybersecurity. So when I'm telling you these guys that networking is literally the key, it is literally the key. You will not do, no matter whether you're breaking in, even if you break in and you want to switch into different areas, you want to go into leadership, till date, networking will have the biggest impact in your journey in cybersecurity. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Mike? You're muted.
Well, thank you. Strike one. You are exactly right, and that story is awesome because it really shows persistence, right? I mean, you have so many people that might tell you, well, you have to do X, Y, and Z, but in your case, you got out there, you shook hands, you got to know people, and you never know. One thing that I tell people is no matter what, don't ever burn bridges, right? Because
Mhm.
you don't know if a month, a year, or 5 years down the road, the cybersecurity community, even though it seems so large, it's a small community, right? And a lot of us just know each other. So every connection, whether you think it's important or not, whether it's someone aspiring to be in cybersecurity, whether it's someone mid-level, senior level, CISO, VP, CEO, whatever it is, every connection is what I call a seed, right? And your job is to
Mhm.
kind of take care of those seeds and watch them grow so that they feed you later in life.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
you're exactly right.
And before we go into the second point, maybe just want to say one thing because I was looking for a very technical role. And when I say you don't need tech experience, I'm not saying that you don't need to ever understand technology, especially when you're going for a very technical role. And what helped me get in was not any experience, which I didn't have, but obviously I educated myself on the matter. And you need to find out which of the 100 areas, and Mike will come to that at some point. We're going to talk about it, which of the 100 sub areas you want to go for. So don't misunderstand that having understanding of technology is not important at all, especially if you're actually going for a very technical role. But you can also do hacking in social engineering. It's different than when you're hacking technology, right? So just so that there is no misunderstanding, and then that's really important to understand. But there's a lot of things that can be done, and you don't need tech experience and you don't need certs. I didn't have them, and I broke into cybersecurity in hacking. True story. Over to you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. You don't. I want to make sure that our message is clear, right? We aren't telling people, "Hey, you can just jump right in this field without any skills at all." What we are at all. What we are telling you is that if you stop and you kind of pick a path for yourself, anybody has the ability to develop the skills, right? So I want that message to be very clear that this field is open to anybody, but it is, and I'll tell you, like Monica and I over the years, we've worked hard, right, to pursue this field, and it is hard work. So it's not easy. However, the cool thing is there is no blueprint at all. You can write your own blueprint to be successful in this field. Would you agree with that, Monica?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think I'll come to that as well about the journey a little bit into the points. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this takes us to the second part of what I'd like to talk about today. And for those that have been connected to me for a while, you know what I mean when I'm talking about branding. So the first thing I would like to do is talk about the difference between, at least in my opinion, what the difference is between networking and branding, because it is two different things. So networking is just like Monica said, it's getting out there, shaking hands, going to events, meeting as many people as you can, right? When I mentor people, though, I always ask them, I say, what is your brand? Tell me about your brand. And they look at me and they say, well, I don't have my own business. What do you mean? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Whether or not we're in business for ourselves, we are all in business, no matter whether you think you are or not. And the reason why is over time, you develop skills, you acquire knowledge, and your job is to basically be a salesman for the or woman for the skills that you have acquired to sell those skills to a potential employer, someone who wants to either contract you or employ you, or whether you're creating your own clients with your own corporation, whatever it is. We're all in business of selling the knowledge and skills that we have acquired. So the difference between networking is and branding is that networking is getting out there, shaking hands, meeting as many people as you can. Branding is how are you different from everybody else? And here's what I'll tell you. I talk to every year thousands of recruiters. They'll inbox me and I'll have conversations with them, Zoom calls, whatever calls with these people, and they'll tell you, they've told me, Mike, if we have 10 people standing in a row and they have the exact same skill set, they got all the same certs, they have the exact same skill set, we are looking for something that makes them stand out, right? And I'm not talking about a certain degree or a certain certification. I'm talking about how are you different from everybody else? How do you stand out? So what is your personal brand? Meaning, what's your personality, right? Even using the LinkedIn platform, what's your personality? Are you funny? Are you serious? Like, when you walk away from I call it the LinkedIn party, when you walk away from the party that day, what are those people saying about you? Are they saying, man, he's a really nice guy, man, he gives so much more than he wants to take, and so on. So Monica, would you like to add anything to that?
Oh, just it's so true about what you said, that it's not about you need to be a business woman or businessman, or you need to have a business. And let me give you a real example of that as well. I founded my brand, Monica Talk Cyber, in 2020. Yeah, it was 2020. I founded the company in 2022. My brand was built before my company was built. Branding has nothing to do with if you're selling services or not. Branding is something that is uniquely you. What are you bringing to the table? What is the value that you are providing? That's your brand, who you are. So absolutely 100% agree with that, Mike.
Yeah, and I'll add a little bit to that too. So, obviously we all have to make a living, and we all have our own products or services that we sell to make a living, whatever products or services that we believe in, whether it's the company we work for or whether it's the services that you're offering as a person. And the thing is, people want to buy or they want to form trust in you as a person. They don't want to buy from logos, right? They don't want to buy from companies. The reason that people purchase products is because they believe in who is behind those products, right? So for me, I feel like my job on LinkedIn is to try to educate people, try to mentor people, and try to just give back to the community. Obviously, I work for a company that offers all kinds of services, but you'll notice I'm not posting these products and services. However, because of branding, people tend to get to know other people. So my company, fortunately, gets traffic, right, or gets work just passively through my profile when people visit it. So branding it's you. It's not your company. It is you. Who are you as a person? How are you contributing to this community, and how are you building trust in this community as well? So, oh
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, 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 absolutely. I
So
totally agree with that.
I think this really takes us to the next section, which is storytelling, and I'm gonna pass it back to Monica, and take it from there. So,
Oh, no, you go ahead first, Mike. I'll add it on top.
no problem. So basically, storytelling for me, when I think of storytelling, I think of networking and I think of branding, right? So And I'm going to talk about storytelling just on the platform that I use, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's YouTube, whatever it is. My job is to relay information to people to try to help people. But what I have found over time is I can make a quick post talking about TCP/IP or talking about the latest breed. I mean, we see those all the time. We see a new CVE posted, new vulnerability, a new exploit. But in order to network and to also build a brand, I use storytelling because when you are trying to create relationships with people, the best way to be able to get knowledge out there and to be able to make people understand is to put it in a story, right? How that story, how an instance affected you, how a certain circumstance or how a certain incident that happened affected you, how you got through it. Basically, telling a story from A to B. And anyone who's followed me on LinkedIn over the past year, I'm a storyteller, right? So I run out of characters. Every single post of mine, I have to backspace a paragraph because LinkedIn says I'm, 250 characters over the limit. So I shake my head and I think, what part can I take out of here? And people have really picked on me over my long form LinkedIn posts. However, right, my job, I think you'll find in all of my posts, right, except for maybe some of my funny, corny ones, I have two goals for storytelling. One, I want to be able to provide a story that someone can relate to, right? But within number two, within that story, I want to be able to provide information that they can benefit from and then they can take home from, or that they can take home with them. And I tell people when I mentor them, I always tell them that people are always looking for, what should I post, Mike? I don't know what to post. I don't feel maybe I'm smart enough to post. Tell a story. Tell a story about your life. In the beginning of this, Monica told us an awesome story about how she got into this field and like her perseverance, her struggles getting through it. That was an excellent story. If she were to take that and post that, she probably already has, but if she were to take that and post it on LinkedIn or tell that story on YouTube, people eat that stuff up. So, I'll end this before I pass it pass
I
it back to
haven't
Monica.
really. Maybe I should
You
put
need
it
to do
on
that. Yeah.
at some point.
Storytelling, it works. And that's how I've learned to, I guess, spread my message, over time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I would just add to that. You're so on point on that, and I think there's nothing, there's not a single role today I can think of within cybersecurity or even outside where storytelling is not needed, and I'll tell you why. Um, Today actually I just posted before the we went on live. I posted about 2022 has been a really crazy year for me, and I will share more about it in 2023. There are a lot more stories to come. I promise you that. But just today, half an hour ago, I posted my top, not like really powerful 22 lessons that I've learned in 2022. And one of those lessons is about storytelling. And it's something like this. So, your employees, your colleagues, your stakeholders, your boss, your management, your board, your shareholders, whoever your audience is, okay? You don't have to be a speaker, whoever your audience is. They may ask you for facts, figures, and statistics, which is fine. But what they really buy into is storytelling. And I think the problem is that people think when it's storytelling, it's fiction. It's not necessarily. Sure, you can have storytelling with fiction. We do that, right? But a good storytelling in our field, in our industry, in our work that we do is actually just about wrapping all the statistics, the facts, and the figures around with a good story. And what Mike was referring to, the example I gave you in the beginning about how I broke into cybersecurity. I mean, I could have just given you the facts, but it would not connect with you in the same way. And every fact, figure, and statistic, you can wrap it around a good story. And that's what your audience will end up buying at the end of the day. So storytelling is absolutely critical. It's highly underrated, but it's absolutely critical.
absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So I think we're progressing. We have covered the first three tips. Now we are on the fourth one, and I can start with that one. So the number four tip now that we have, which is very interesting, is the psychology or the analytical thinking or the people skills, because this is really important. And I saw some of the comments here, people were like, some have disagreed with, like, no, you cannot break into cybersecurity without degrees, without certifications, without technical experience. And well, that's why we're doing this live today. I would not say I 100% disagree with you, because I mean there's always some truth to certain stories, and I do agree. There
Yep.
are posts out there, there are positions and openings out there where they're talking about that masters is a must requirement, and that's happened with me. So I'll give you another story. I was once hiring two security analysts. Okay, it was supposed to be maybe not an entry level role, but just slightly above. Definitely not a leadership role. It's a security analyst. I mean, you're not expecting 10 years of experience. And I think, if I remember, I put the job out and a post position, and it was maybe asking for 2 years or something of experience in the industry, or some kind of relevant experience. Okay. And there were two candidates, and they were really fantastic, but they didn't have master degrees. They didn't. To me, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I was like, it doesn't matter. You have the drive, you have the curiosity. They proved to me that they were really fantastic. Unfortunately, the bureaucracy of the company, not only just my boss, but my boss's boss, it went so much that they were like, no, we're not hiring anybody with master's degree. I ended up leaving that company for sure. And I know it's a problem, but master's degree is not, I mean, let's not confuse the two things. Yes, there are some positions that are not understanding and they're doing hiring wrong. I absolutely understand that. That is true. And we have to work on that level as well. We have to, absolutely. But let's not confuse that with, if you really need masters to break into cybersecurity, if that's really relevant to succeed in this industry. It's not. But what's really important, and the point really is about here, one of the key skills that you will use in this industry, no matter what role you're in, whether technical or non-technical, audit, compliance, GRC, or whatever, is problem solving. Ultimately, what we are doing in cybersecurity is problem solving and a lot of analytical thinking. We have so many stakeholders that are not within security. We have many stakeholders within security, but so many outside it. So what really matters at the end of the day is, how are we able to understand the motivation and the psychology of our stakeholders? And that's true even when you're a hacker. Another story for you. So when I was working as a hacker, and this is what really happened, is that I was obviously doing pen testing. We have this pen test report at the end where you have the finding and you have the business review and all these and business risks and stuff, and it's fine. And that was the time I was working at Siemens, and it was to 2010. Stuxnet happened, right? And you all know about Stuxnet, right? And obviously, suddenly, everybody in the top management in a company was like, "Oh, this is important. We want to understand what's going on," right? And when I was hacking, I really realized, as a pen tester, it was not about finding the flaws as much as it was able to explain or be able to talk to my stakeholders and understand their psychology and their motivation of what they want out of it. They don't care about SQL injections, but they do care about business risks, and they do care about risk management. It was very early on in my career, right after I was done with being a pen tester and a hacker, or not done really, but like when I left that job, I started working as a head of risk for one of the projects that I had after that in a different company. And the reason I got into risk management quite fast is because I got that understanding. And don't get me wrong, I know I made the mistake myself as a technical expert that time. I used to think pen testing was everything. I used to think hacking was everything. This was it. This was the whole cybersecurity. And then I learned about risk management, and I learned about so many more things. And I was like, oh my God, I had such a narrow thinking. And that's what happens. And I think to be able to succeed in this, you need to understand the psychology. You need to have problem solving skills. You need to be able to understand what motivates your stakeholders. What do they want out of it? What is their requirement and need? You will need that skill for sure. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I have so many things to talk about. I wish we had like 3 more hours. So this is
Yeah.
this is this is fun. So, reading the comments and so on, I'll speak to a couple of things, right? So, one thing that I do every day on LinkedIn is I take screenshots when someone lands a job. and I'll reach out to them. Hey, how'd you land it? What certs did you have, and so on. And here's what I would tell you. You're right. What you said earlier, Monica. There are companies that won't hire you if you don't have a master's. There's companies that won't hire you if you don't have your Security Plus or whatever certifications. But for every company that won't hire you, there's three others that will. So, and I saw a comment earlier that said 90% of the companies out there require certifications or a bachelor's degree. It's totally false, right? There are companies that require those, but again, for every one that does, there's companies that don't. I've been in this field for 25 years, and there are absolutely positions that I can't get because I don't have a college degree, I don't have a master's degree, and I don't have a slew of acronyms after my name. But there's also it's a full plate, right? So, but there's also a gazillion other opportunities out there, and I think that's what we have to realize. No matter if we get 10 different certifications and a master's degree, that still doesn't qualify you for every job, right? Every job is different. Every employer is different. Another thing too is people tend to focus on, I would just call it FANG, right? The Facebook, Amazon, these bigger companies. You're right. There are these huge companies that absolutely do require some of that. But, and I just posted this the other day, 99.9% of businesses in the United States are small businesses, right? Many of these small businesses, they want good help. They don't care what cert you have. And real quick, I'll say this. I started a company in 2010, and I sold that company this past year on Valentine's Day to the company I work for now. So I ran that company for 10 years, right? A while, 12 years, something like that. And here's what I'll tell you. We did penetration testing, we did vCISO services, and I was the person that did the hiring. And I can tell you, I had people come in with college degrees and master's degrees and certifications that couldn't talk about, what I needed them to be able to talk about in an interview. So certs and a degree do not equal the knowledge that you have. Certs is a byproduct, should be a byproduct of knowledge that you have gained. So would you like to add anything else to that, Monica?
Maybe just one thing. And this is really my experience. I've been in leadership for many, many, many years. And I say, as I have been in the weeds. And I can really tell you that, yes, you may need technical skills for certain roles, and they will move the needle within security. But if you want to move the needle forward, if you want to move security forward, and not just within, but really forward, you will need people skills. You will need to understand
Absolutely.
psychology way more than your technical skills. So your technical skills may move the needle within security, but it's your people skills at the end of the day that will move security forward.
Absolutely. I agree. Are we ready to move on to our next?
Yes, let's do
All
that.
right, let's do it. So the next one we have is tip number 5, which is finding and adding value, right? So, and Monica even covered some of this as well. So one thing that she said that I picked up on was being a problem solver. I just made a post 2 hours ago about being a problem solver. I can tell you hands down, I am an expert at absolutely nothing except I can Google like crazy, right? I'm an expert Googler, but I think many of us are that. However, I had to find a way to add value to this community because no one's going to hire me if I can't add value. So one of the things that worked for me over the years is being a problem solver, no matter what that problem is. And that doesn't mean going out and figuring out what mistakes someone made in their coding language. I'm talking about being able to look at a problem with this hand, a solution, and find a means to put those together. One thing that I found mid-career, right? I've always been a big communicator. One thing that I found in mid-career, and you mentioned about soft skills, is many technical people, unfortunately, and I'm a technical person, can't speak in a language outside of tech. They can't speak to the business. They can't speak about business risk, right? So many times I would be in the middle of conversations where the technical team is trying to talk to, I'll use this for a story. Years ago, I was working for a very large chain, and they were going through PCI compliance, and the point of sale systems were not compliant at the time. But you had the technical people talking to the stakeholders saying, hey, this isn't compliant because we got version 1.3 and these protocols running and that protocol running. And the stakeholders look at them like, This means nothing to us. What are you talking about? Right. So I found myself over the years being the conduit, right? Being the person that connected the technical people to the stakeholders. So to be successful in this career, I do feel that you have to have some understanding of business and some understanding of business risk and what's and learning what's important to that business. So, being able to one, solve problems, being able to two, help people efficiently communicate to each other. So, like my job over the years has been to take the tech team and translate what they're saying at the same time and have it make sense to to the stakeholders. Okay, so if we don't spend $3 million, we're not going to be able to take credit cards at 1,000 of our stores next year. Okay, now we're speaking their language, right? Now they understand what we're talking about. But many times, and I even early in my career as a technical person, I was the same way. I thought I was cool. I was throwing acronyms all over the place and sounding really cool, but realizing I'm not really doing any good because I have to be able to solve a problem and I'm not communicating in a way that is solving that problem. So, Monica, anything to add to that?
No, you said it. You said it. I think it was absolutely spot on.
Awesome. So that takes us to, if we're ready for the next topic,
Absolutely. Let's take
let's
it. Let's
go.
go
Hey,
on with
we are
it.
we are on a
We are
roll.
on the roll.
I know. Topic number 6 is cross skilling, and
Yes.
yes. So go ahead, Monica.
Here comes yet another unpopular opinion. Okay. Are you ready for it? Okay. If you have experience and transferable skills from other industry and you're looking to break into or switch to security, you don't have to start at entry level, whether in information security, cybersecurity. Let me repeat that. If you have experience from other industries and have transferable skills, which you may, most likely, there are always some skills, especially because there are so many subfields within information security or cybersecurity, that you don't have to start at entry level. Entry level is 0 years of experience. You don't have 0 years of experience. Chances are high that you have gained transferable skills, including analytical skills, problem solving, effective communication, threat intelligence, crisis management, logical thinking, risk management, project management, product management, sales, marketing, and many other skills that you need in cybersecurity, information security. And that's the thing, because every role within cybersecurity, or let's say it other way around, not every role within cybersecurity is a hacker or a coder. That's where we make the biggest mistake. We just think that's all what it is to it. SOC analyst, coding, hacking, and that's it. It's not. So the transferable skills that I mentioned are just some of them. And if you're coming from other industries and you have some of these skills, you can use them in some other roles within cybersecurity. Technical or hard skills can always be learned on the job. It You still don't have to start at entry level because you have experience to work in an industry. You've experienced how to work with stakeholders. You've experienced how to solve so many of the problems that we need to solve within cybersecurity. It's not about just fixing technology. It's not that. And then I would like to add this. One of the things that's important to understand here when I'm trying to convey this message is that there are many paths to pursue in cybersecurity. Your path in cybersecurity is uniquely yours. Just because I did it certain way or Mike did it certain way or somebody third other person did it certain way doesn't mean yours will be exactly like that. There's so many ways to do it. So try to find out how would that look for you. And here are some of the questions that I can give you that you can think that could be used for food for thought or just kind of some understanding for finding your path into cybersecurity. First, number one question: what is your why? Why are you interested in this field? Why do you want to break into cybersecurity? Why do you want to break into information security? What is your intrinsic motivation? Please don't say it's money, because first of all, if you start with less experience or if you're switching, you might not be getting a $200,000 job. That's not happening. Okay, so money, it will come, but that should not be your motivation to break into this industry or to switch into this industry. What is intrinsic motivation? Are you curious to learn? Are you driven and passionate about really solving these problems for the organizations, for people, for businesses? So knowing your intrinsic why, absolute first step. Second, as I said, information security or cybersecurity is quite broad. Even cybersecurity has a lot of subdomains. It's not just hacking coding, it's not that. So, what is it that you're interested in most? Which of the transferable skills would you like to continue working with? Which of the skills you have today, but also which of the skills you want to develop tomorrow? So, imagine that you want to go, because, like, as I said, I had never hacked really in an industry, right? But I really wanted to do that. So there are two things: what you can do today and where do you want to go tomorrow. You will take both of them into consideration. Okay. And third is, are you really ready to be challenged? So it's not, I'm not going to paint a rosy picture that when you come into this industry, it's going to be easy. And Mike has said it also before, it's not like that. It's not all roses and fun. Obviously, it's a challenging industry. Our job is literally to find flaws and fix it for different people in different ways. So are you ready for that? Are you ready for a challenge? And if you like it, then it's fantastic, because some companies still consider security as a cost center. There are still some people who would stop you. There'll be a lot of pushbacks from different stakeholders. Are you ready to deal with it? So start with some of these questions and it will help you transfer into this industry. Entry level is 0 years of experience, period. So let me repeat it again. If you have transferable skills and experience from other industries, you don't have to start at entry level. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There are a ton of job descriptions out there every day, and I don't even call them job descriptions anymore. I call them wish lists, right? Because you see entry level positions that say 4 years of experience and three certifications. Well, that's not entry level. Entry means beginning at the start, right? So they're wish lists. But what I would tell you is what I see is every day. Many people steer away from applying to those things because as soon as they see a cert that they don't have, or as soon as they see 4 years of experience or 2 years of experience, they walk away from it. But I can tell you, even in being in a position of hiring people, right? If I run across a person that doesn't have the years of experience that I'm looking for or the certs, but I talk to them and I find out that they're knowledgeable and they have what they need to fill the position, I don't care about the certifications. I've never cared about the certifications. I don't care about the degree. I don't care about their experience. I care that they can be an asset to my company, right? So your job should be, how can I be an asset to the cybersecurity industry, right? Whether it's being a problem solver, whether it's sales or what have you. And I think that's going to move us into tip 7, right?
Yeah,
Which is
maybe just
finding
let me
your
add one tiny thing to that
yeah,
one, because
go
you
for
just said something really interesting, and you said that you're not interested in certs, and I think it's an important discussion because I see a lot of comments that are like just
it. Yeah,
talking about how important certs is, or you want certs, or you don't want certs, or do we need certs, and all these things. Okay, so
yeah,
I have a lot of certs. Let me just put it out there. I do, and I think I posted about it maybe a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months ago. There is value in certs if you do it right. I did not ever do even a single cert because I wanted a cert. I wanted to get educated. I wanted training. I didn't pay for them. My companies wanted me to get more educated. They sent me to these trainings, and it came with an exam. I gave the exams, obviously. So, and I passed them and I got certified. Some of them are really challenging. I think of all the trainings that I've done, so I've done the OSPT. Was it is still called OSPT? I'm not really sure. It's such a long time ago that I did the hacking course,
yep,
which took me 48 hours of hacking and writing. Well, I didn't sleep for 48 hours. It was
yeah. The
crazy.
report.
That was really hands-on and really fun experience. Just to learn. But I did it on the job after I was a hacker, not before that. Okay, I did it after.
Absolutely.
And one of the courses that I did that I remember from certifications, I have a lot of them. I don't remember all of them, but one of them I remember is cloud security. The reason I loved that course because it taught me how to think about cloud security, why it is not just somebody else's computer, and what mindset you need. And since then, I have helped so many companies and organizations move to cloud and how they can, what is the real difference with on-prem and cloud? There's the mindset. So that really helped me. Then I did some privacy trainings to understand the laws and stuff. You know what I mean? This is not something that, yeah, it was OSCP. That's correct.
Yep.
Nitesh, that was the
Yeah,
right one.
OSCP. Yep.
That's the one from IC Square. which is right now a taboo topic. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's not go into IC square right now. But and I did some privacy one to understand the laws because I'm not a lawyer and I need to understand as a part of my job. So let me say that it's not the length that comes after your name that matters. If that's the reason why you're doing certifications, you're doing it completely wrong. If you want to go for the learning and you want to do the exams, please absolutely do that. Okay, that was
Yeah.
it. That was the one. Just because I saw a lot of comments and I thought it's good to just address
Yeah.
that.
And I'm gonna run with that a little bit too, and say that, you know, and I saw a comment earlier, certs definitely don't hurt. And you're right. Certs definitely will absolutely not hurt you, right? That they are a good thing. I guess the message that we're trying to portray to people is that they are not a necessity. You don't absolutely need to have them. So, when you have, and I use the term gatekeepers, when you have a gatekeeper tell you you have to have X, Y, and Z, that is absolutely false. You might need it for a job for a certain company, but to get into this field, you absolutely do not.
Definitely not to break into cybersecurity.
Yep,
Definitely
actually, yeah.
not a
And
prerequisite
and
to
one
break into
thing too,
cybersecurity.
and I did this earlier in my career because I didn't have a ton of money, right? If you can get into an entry level role at a decent company, many companies have a training budget where, I did gain some certs over the years that were paid for by my employer. So if you can get in, at a company and provide value to them, right? Don't get in just so you can go get the cert, but be able to provide value for them. Make your mark in this industry, and maybe within their training budget they'll send you to go get your OSCP or even your Security Plus, like whatever it is you desire or that they desire you to have. So, in those cases it can work out excellent for you. But, I guess the hard part for me is I have so many people that come to me, and they're breaking the bank, spending all this money because the industry has been so certification commercialized, right? That they're breaking the bank, they're maxing out credit cards because they are having this false belief that if I go get my OSCP, I'm going to knock down a six-figure job in 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. So, with that said, we are going to go to the next topic, which is tip 7: finding your niche. So, I'll start with this. When I talk to people, everybody tells me, Mike, I want to get into cybersecurity, right? Well, cybersecurity as a whole is very large. So when someone says that to me, and I always say it back to them, I'll say, that sounds like someone saying, I want to get into sports, right? Because sports is so big, right? And I wish I could be good at every sport. I'm not good at too many at all, if any. But this is where you need to find your niche. And there's three main ones that I talk about, which they're kind of categorized in three that I've kind of that I talk about, but under them are so many. So I talk about offensive security, it's picking a path, right? Offensive security, defensive security, or GRC. Those aren't exclusively the only three. But here's what I'll tell you. If you are not a super technical person, right, it is going to be harder for you to get into offense, to get into a red team. Not saying you can't, but you're going to have to put a lot more time in. You're going to have to become a technical person, right? And I don't care if you're a truck driver, a farmer, whatever, you have the ability, but it's going to be a lot more work. GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, is a pivot that you can make without being as technical. Do you have to have a technical understanding so you can read the controls and the different frameworks? Absolutely. But, you're not going to be given a hacking test in an interview. You're not going to have 3 or 4 certifications. GRC is also another path, right? And there's many niches within that, right? So I worked mostly in the private sector through my career. And for me, I really got into the credit card industry, the PCI, right? I really, really enjoyed that. I ran with that, but I don't know as much about some of the NIST frameworks, the ISO frameworks, and things like that. I know what I know. I'm always willing to learn more, but I've kind of picked my niche, right? And the third main one is defensive security. So, but defensive security can be so many things. Like Monica said earlier, you could be a SOC analyst. You could do vulnerability management, right? Things like that. So, I think as a whole, though, I always say pick a swim lane, right? Take either of those three categories and say, you know what? I think that I'm kind of cut out for whatever it is. Let's just say GRC, and then dive into that. What does GRC mean, right? There's so many different frameworks. Find frameworks that interest you. Find how you can kind of make your mark and use those not to your advantage, but also to company's advantage as well. That you can help them walk through an assessment where they have to be compliant by a certain date, right? And they don't understand any of the controls, but you can walk in there. And this goes back to being able to be a problem solver. One, they might not understand the controls that they're reading because they're not technical. So your job is to try to explain to them, you need X, Y, and Z in place. Here's what they are, and here's a strategic path on how you can do that, right? So it's just finding your niche in what you want to do. You will absolutely go crazy if you are trying to learn everything that you can about all three sectors. And I tell people all the time, I am a master of none, right? I know a little bit about a ton of things, right? Which has allowed me to kind of be a problem solver. So I will say this too. I think you can make the choice early on whether you want to be an expert in, let's just say you want to be an expert penetration tester. And that's something I can't ever say I was a penetration tester. I don't know if I was ever an expert penetration tester. I was maybe here, everybody else is up here, but mine was more of a general knowledge. So I will tell you that you need to make a decision if you want to go down a deep rabbit hole and make yourself an expert, one of the best in something that you're doing, right? Because that's definitely a very legit, a very successful path you can follow. Or you can take the path of staying broad, right? Not digging as deep, but you know a little bit about GRC, you know a little bit about defensive security, being able to analyze packets, understanding different SIMs, being able to work on the red team on offensive security, understanding tools like their OSs like Kali and Metasploit and tools like Nmap, and be able to talk about vulnerabilities and so on. So for me, that's kind of where I've gone, private sector and industry with broad knowledge. Not saying that's the right way. That's the niche that I've chosen. So your job, right, that we can't do for you is to analyze everything that's out there and pick a niche that suits you and either dive way down that rabbit hole or stay broad and learn as much as you can. Learn, a little bit about a lot of different things. So, Monica, would you like to add anything to that?
Maybe three things to add. As you say, go broad or dive deep, and maybe a third point, maybe hybrid. That's
Yeah,
something that I
absolutely.
did. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So one
Yeah.
things that I would like to add is absolutely agree with Mike, and it's absolutely correct, because especially when you come into a leadership position like I have, um, one of the reasons I feel very comfortable in this role is, well, I have done a lot of different things in my career. It wasn't planned that way. As I said in the beginning, all I wanted to do was hacking. That was it. That was all what I wanted to do. And then I obviously started learning, and I have done risk management, I've done cloud security, I've done identity and access management, whatnot. So I have been in security architecture and whatever, and risk management, and enterprise risk management, and business continuity. So I've been head of security risk and business continuity. So I've done so much stuff that I feel that has helped me specifically in the leadership role. But some people get confused. They're like, yeah, when you come from technical background, you do leadership. And that's where something is very important, is that I'll give you a really important tip. When you do come to leadership position some point in your life, or you already are, you have to let some things go. You can't be in the weeds all the time. You have to change your mindset. You have to think differently. You have to think of your position being a T. You have to stay on the top and sometimes use your expertise down here when needed, but mostly always have a broad view. Because if you don't do that, you will be diving in and you will never be able to be a good leader. You need to have people
Absolutely.
skills. You have to
Absolutely.
really do that. That's one. Two, having said that, as Mike said, and as I've said before, your path in cybersecurity is uniquely yours. Remember that. We are giving you 7 tips today, but your path is yours. We will support you, we will help you, we will guide you. but we will never tell you this is how you need to do it exactly. If somebody tells you this is exactly how your path should look like, run away from them fast. I'm telling you, do not. I have a mentor for 20 years. 20 years, trust me. I have a mentor of 20 years, which is also, by the way, is an important thing you can do. And his path is so different than mine. And the reason he's still my mentor and we still have such a fantastic relationship is because he never forced his path on me. Rather, he supported in my journey, which is nothing like his. So that's second. And third, I want to give you some examples of like the different subdomains where you don't need any technical hands-on experience. Audit, sales, compliance, product security, threat intelligence, project management, security management, education and awareness, vulnerability management, governance, risk and compliance, and most likely many more. But you get the point.
You're absolutely right. Anyone that tells you the exact path you have to follow, the exact certification you have, I can tell you, being in this industry for 25 years, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know the industry. They might know the company that they work for and what they need. They don't know. They don't know this industry. I wish we had 2 hours for these
Yeah.
podcasts. Man, the time goes so fast. I would like to interject real quick and say, first, Monica, we appreciate all of the knowledge. This has been excellent. Everyone who's watching
Likewise.
this, if you could please return a favor and follow her on YouTube. I have it right there at the bottom, Monica Talks Cyber. We are, of course, both trying to build our channels. If you don't mind, if you have two to spare, feel free to follow me too. We both have been on the LinkedIn platform for a long time, and I feel like we're both beginners on the YouTube platform. She's a lot stronger than I am, but I'm a complete beginner on YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing, but we are both putting out information all of the time on those channels. So please do that. We got 3 minutes, and then I have a hard stop because I have a kid's Christmas party that I have to go to.
Yeah.
But should we take like 3 minutes of questions?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. If you have some questions, and please, if you have some questions, just put them right now, and we will try to answer in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
just want to thank you all so much. You guys have been wonderful. It has been a fantastic 2022, and trust me, you have no idea what Mike and I have for you for
It's
2023.
gonna be fun.
It is
It's gonna be
gonna
fun.
be amazing.
Yep.
We're gonna go all in betting on you, and betting on us, and in betting in this industry. So let's hope that you guys will all have fantastic holidays, well deserved holidays. Wish you all a fantastic start of 2023, and we'll see you in 2023. Let's see. Any questions there?
Let's try this one. It's a long read, but let's see.
By the way, you guys can also listen to my podcast, Monica Talk Cyber,
Yeah,
because there are a
absolutely.
lot more stories, by the way. I totally forgot to tell you. So, like the way we're doing it now, I interview a lot of guests with a lot of different stories, and they're all on the podcast, which is on YouTube, but also Apple, Spotify, everywhere. So,
I think I can answer this question.
yeah, what's the question again? Any recommendations
So
on a weapon security clearance to connect clients achieve common goals or problems? Oh, yeah, okay. It's
here's
most
what
likely country specific, or
here's what I'll tell you. My
yeah,
opinion is go back to networking, go back to branding, and I'll say that we'll end the podcast with this. Anyone who is struggling to get a job because they're filling out 25, 50 resumes a week, whatever, stop, take a look at it from a 30,000-foot view. You're doing it wrong, right? My goal for everybody that I mentor, and I think Monica's goal too, from hearing her talk, is we want recruiters and headhunters and decision makers coming toward you, right? The only way you can do that is to network and brand yourself, right? If you're filling out 25 applications, you're not getting any returns, like stop doing
no,
that, right?
no,
It's better to wake up every morning and have 4 or 5 leads in your inbox with opportunities coming to you.
yeah,
Those are warm leads, right? Than to just spend time on company websites. So branding, if you treat LinkedIn like a career for 6 months, it will feed you for the rest of your life. And I can tell you that from experience. And I think Monica can tell you the same thing.
yeah. We will leave you with just one comment from me, and then we'll really have to go.
Absolutely.
I told you the story about how I broke into cybersecurity, and it was literally networking. Why I got into that. The job position was not open. There was none. I didn't apply to a position. Right. Almost every other job, or almost majority of the jobs that I've gotten, are through branding and networking. I have applied to
Absolutely.
job positions, but the ones that I've gotten are because of that. So do not underappreciate or undervalue the power of branding, storytelling, and just putting yourself out there consistently.
I agree.
All the very best to everybody.
If you don't take anything away from this live event, whether it's certification, talk, or debates or whatever, take away networking and branding. Spend your time doing that instead of filling out resumes. So, with that said, we do have to end this. I have cupcakes that I got to make, but Monica and I are always available. Just reach out to her on
Yes.
LinkedIn. If anyone hasn't connected to her by now, you should. I'd love to see her account blown up because of this. Make sure to connect to her on YouTube, both of us. But reach out to us, send us messages. Like, we'll answer you, right? We will definitely answer you if you have questions because we only have so much time here. Thank you, everybody. Monica, you're awesome. Everybody here for participating.
Thank you, Mike. You as well. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back with more. Take care,
Take,
guys.
take care,
Bye-bye.
guys.